Welcome to Mock 10 Sports. Glad you could join us for this segment. Before we get rocking and rolling, though, just a reminder, we got a lot of good content coming. Wrapping up the college football season. We got the SEC championship game first weekend in December. We already know the announcement of that. We also got college basketball kicking in next week. Remember, we got Feast Week, a lot of good tournaments, a lot of good non-conference games for the SEC schools coming up. Love the conference this year in basketball. Right after that, you got starting off on Thursday with the Egg Bowl, Friday, Florida State, and the rest of rivalry week that Saturday. We got a lot of great content. Don't forget to subscribe and like everything on YouTube. We're also on Twitter at Mock10Sports, on Instagram at Mock10Sports, TikTok at Mock10Sports. We're even on Facebook. So we're on every avenue. So look forward to bringing you all the content as we come into the winter months. A lot of good stuff coming down the way. But let's get to it. What a scene in Auburn, Alabama on Saturday night. What a scene. Auburn was genuinely going crazy over to Cadillac Williams. Sorry the corny pun, but it was just a reference to the late, great Rod Bramblett's 2003 Iron Bowl call when Cadillac Williams' first play of the game went 75 yards, and when he got to about the 20, 15-yard line, he yells, "Go crazy, Cadillac." So that was the pun there, but in all reality, they were going crazy over Cadillac Williams on Saturday night at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Rightfully so. A lot of energy to a bad football team, something to give them some optimism as the season kind of wraps up. Swag surfing was rolling as it usually is. One of the more probably best energies Auburn's had so far this year. Can't imagine that being top this week of Western Kentucky, so that'll probably be the crowd home field advantage of the year for Auburn in a disappointing season. You would have thought both teams were playing for the SEC West, though. I mean, both teams came in at what, 3-7. Loser was for sure to finish last in the West. Had a great turnout, really rallied behind one of the legends in that program's history in Cadillac Williams. That's a compliment to the Auburn fan base. Very unique fan base. A lot of them just truly love the university. I'll give them credit for that. I'll give Auburn credit for that. As an Alabama alum, I will give Auburn credit. I worked there, obviously. So Auburn has somewhat of a soft spot for Auburn. But Auburn is different, more so the feel of they love Auburn. Where you probably have a lot of Alabama fans who just love Alabama football. And me being an Alabama alum, I feel like I can say that and admit that. Again, compliment to the Auburn fan base coming out, supporting a bad football team, but for a good cause, I guess you would say. But let's slow down a little bit. Let's just put it in park. Let's put our car in park. Let's slow down a little bit on the Cadillac Williams being in the upper tier. Should be people saying he should be in the top tier of Auburn's head football coaching search. Let's slow down on that. I was just cruising through Twitter yesterday and just saw, according to CBS's Barrett Sallee, who had a poll asking, should Cadillac Williams be in a top tier of coaching candidates at Auburn? What would you have guessed the percentage would have been yes? Again, the question was, should Cadillac Williams, who is 1-1 as an interim coach, was previously the running backs coach, who's done a solid job of bringing energy to an Auburn team and Auburn fan base this year that has been just for an overall disappointing season for Auburn. Should he be a top-tier candidate for the head coaching job? 51% of people, and I know it's Twitter, it's not real world, but it's interesting enough that maybe that's some Alabama fans just throwing that in there, hoping that happens. But 51%, surprising. I was going to go 20, 30%, but 51% say Cadillac Williams should be in the top tier of the Auburn coaching search. Look, it's a great story, and it about ends there. They started off slow against Mississippi State, finished strong, celebrated like they won the game. They lost Mississippi State. They beat a Texas A&M team that should have honestly probably, I don't want to say won the game, but they're going to finish last place in the West. Auburn still didn't play great. A&M was +4 in turnover margin and still lost. It's not like Auburn's playing good football now. It's just Cadillac's promoting the program well, bringing energy. I saw kind of putting a bunch of pictures of himself around the older facility that they're about to move out of. It's just an interesting time, a lot of promotion. I feel like that's coming within. And true, don't get me wrong, Cadillac Williams is one of my favorite Auburn players of all time. I truly remember him. I mean, he was in the class, I think, of 2000, 2001 or something. Cadillac Williams is one of my favorite Auburn players of all time. I really respected his game. Great NFL player. But I think we got to slow this train down a little bit. If you're Auburn, you cannot make decisions on emotions. And I don't think the new AD, John Cohen, will. But I think there could be some influence. If Auburn were to win this week against Western Kentucky, I know that doesn't sound like a big win, but they're only 6.5-point favorites this week. They're only 6.5-point favorites against a solid Western Kentucky team. If Auburn is just kind of patting themselves on the back after getting an SEC win with Cadillac Williams, they're going to be in for a rude awakening because Western Kentucky is going to come in and play well. But let's just say they win that. And they go play in Tuscaloosa next week for the Iron Bowl. First time both teams come in with multiple losses since 2007 in the Iron Bowl. Let's just say they play solid, play with Alabama, take it in the second half, fourth quarter, play well. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Let's just hypothetically say that. It's going to be if Auburn misses on its first candidate or two, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. If you got some things going on behind the scenes, Cadillac may be trying to push some things in recruiting to show that he can get some of the top kids either through high school or the transfer portal. I don't know. I'm just throwing some things out there where Auburn may be like, you know what? He'll bring energy. He's one of us. Let's just promote him. They're like, it's Dabo Swinney for us. It's Dabo Swinney 2.0 at Auburn. Yeah, I know Dabo Swinney didn't play at Clemson, but you get my reference. Again, like I said, especially if they miss on their first guy, obviously it's going to be, they're going to make Lane Kiffin tell them no. He's not ready to be discussing that right now. I think a lot of it comes more down to NIL base more so than it does a salary, but we'll get into that later. But I just want to let it know, like, Auburn does not need to settle on this hire. I think you have to take out the emotions of this and really set yourself up big. Hey, this is a big hire for our program's future. Again, I think he would do a solid job. I'm not saying he wouldn't be a head coach. I think he'd do a good job in recruiting. Just some positives on him. I think he would do a good job in recruiting. You can really sense his passion for Auburn. And I think a lot of kids genuinely gravitate towards that these days. I think he would be a good mentor for the kids. I think he would be able to recruit. I like his coaching style high. And he also, the thing he's got the pedigree, the resume to say, hey, I played at the highest level. Come play for me. I'm younger. I can relate. But I think he's going to have to go cut his teeth more so at the FCS level. Not saying at these jobs specifically, but jobs like Kennesaw State, Southeastern Louisiana, some of the FCS jobs, maybe a smaller group of 5 job, but something like that. I think he's going to have to go get to kind of cut his teeth before they really throw him into the SEC and he is deserving of the Auburn University football job. Like I said, I'm not saying he can't be a good coach. He needs to go cut his teeth elsewhere. And again, this is the holiday season. I understand this. And everyone is usually in the charitable type mood. But Auburn cannot make a charity hire here if they get turned down by their first 2. And let me preface this. I don't think it gets past the second. But the Barrett Sallee poll got me interested. I was like, man, you just never know in today's time. If Lane Kiffin told him no, and then it got to Hugh Freeze, who I don't think would tell them no, but you just never know when people get involved how many 11th hour decisions are changed. And let's just say he said no. I'm telling you, if they won this week and they played well against Alabama, Cadillac Williams would come up again. I promise you. He would be marketing himself. He'd have a lot of backing from former players and boosters that love him as he's the legend that is there. But I'm telling you, it may happen. But with that being said, there's some new leadership at Auburn that I do not think will react off emotions. I think John Cohen would not react off emotion, like I said. I think they will get this hire right, but I'm just saying, I'm seeing it floating around out there. I just wanted to discuss this to some extent because there seems to be some growing momentum in regards to just giving Cadillac a shot. We have our head coach, but like I mentioned, Auburn cannot afford to make this a charitable hire, and they cannot afford to get this hire wrong. That's if they want to start being a consistent, relevant team in the new era of the Southeastern Conference and the overall new era of college football. Again, I appreciate you joining us on this segment. Be on the lookout for some more of our great content coming up as we hit probably the best time of year with all the college sports getting started. Like I said, we'll look out for some of our college basketball content coming up, and with rivalry week and championship week coming out, be coming up with some great stuff here at Mach 10 Sports. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great week. Keep following us on Mach 10 Sports for the best information on SEC sports.